Hey everyone, welcome back to Animal Notebook. I'm super excited you're here for today's explainer, Pelicans, Protectors of the Coast. We're diving into the majestic pelican. These guys are absolute evolutionary marvels, and we've got some incredibly cool science to unpack today. So let's just get right into it.
Here's our quick roadmap. We'll start by meeting this prehistoric survivor, check out the anatomy of a fisher, look at how they're masters of the hunt, explore their family life and flocks, touch on survival and conservation, and finally, run through some rapid-fire pelican FAQs.
All right, Section 1, meet the prehistoric survivor.
Okay, so the pelican, which is part of the Pelicanidae family, is literally an ancient marvel. We're talking about a fossil record that goes back roughly 40 million years. 40 million! That means they've been flying around, perfecting their coastal fishing game long before humans even stepped onto the scene. They've adapted beautifully to almost every single continent on Earth. Well, except for Antarctica.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of a Fisher. Let's look at exactly how they're built for the water.
First off, we've got to debunk a huge cartoon myth here. You know that classic image of a pelican flying around with a giant pouch full of fish, kind of treating it like a built-in lunchbox? Yeah, completely fiction. The biological reality is they definitely do not store food in there. Instead, it works purely as a highly advanced temporary scoop net.
So what is this thing? It's called a gular pouch. It's this incredibly expandable throat sac held up by an elastic membrane. Get this, it can hold a staggering 3 gallons of water. Think about that, 3 gallons. When they dive or scoop, they trap their prey right along with all that water. But here's the catch. Before they can actually swallow their meal, they have to physically tilt their heads back to squeeze and drain all that water out the sides. Only then do they gulp down the catch whole.
Now, if you look across the globe today, there are 8 distinct species of pelicans. They range from the brown pelican, cruising the coastal salt waters of the Americas, to the pink-backed pelican hanging out in African lakes and rivers. They've adapted to a really wide variety of habitats. And to handle their massive size, some of these birds have wingspans pushing 10 feet. They've evolved these super lightweight, partially hollow bones. It keeps them perfectly buoyant and, honestly, surprisingly graceful in the air.
Let's transition to Section 3, Masters of the Hunt. These birds are highly specialized. Okay, this number is absolutely wild. 100. That's how many feet up in the air a brown pelican will plummet from when they plunge dive. They're total dive bombing specialists. They can literally spot a fish from 100 feet up, fold back those massive wings, and hit the water like a precision dart. And here's my favorite biology fact about this. To handle the sheer physical shock of hitting the water like that, they actually drop their heart rate from a normal 400 beats per minute all the way down to just 20 beats per minute on impact. Insane, right?
But hey, plunge diving isn't their only move. Other species, like the American white pelican, they're tactical team players. They pull off this flawless 3-step cooperative hunting strategy. First, a group swims together to form a giant U-shape on the water. Second, they start paddling and herding entire schools of fish straight into the shallows. And finally, synchronized scooping. They basically create one massive, inescapable net with all their gular pouches working together. It's just a highly efficient, perfectly orchestrated feast.
Next up, Section 4, Family Life and Flocks.
You know, pelicans are extremely social creatures. We call them colonial nesters, which means they often gather in these massive breeding colonies or rookeries that can literally number in the thousands. And when it comes to family life, it's a total team effort. Both parents take turns incubating the eggs. Once those chicks hatch, and fair warning, they come out completely blind and featherless, just little pink aliens, both parents feed them. They do this by regurgitating pre-digested fish straight into the chicks' mouths until the little guys are strong enough to grow their adult feathers and learn the family fishing trade themselves.
Section 5, Survival and Conservation. Let's look at the modern challenges they face.
As you might guess, human activity has heavily impacted pelicans over the years. Back in the 20th century, the brown pelican was actually pushed to the very brink of extinction. The culprit? The pesticide DDT, which thinned their eggshells to the point of breaking. But miraculously, after DDT was finally banned in 1972, their populations actually bounced back. It's a massive, massive conservation triumph. That said, we're not out of the woods. Today, they still face really serious ongoing threats from habitat loss, coastal development, devastating oil spills, and getting tangled up in discarded commercial fishing lines.
All right, let's bring it home with Section 6, Pelican FAQs. Let's hit the top questions.
FAQ number 1. Out of the 8 distinct species out there, which of these magnificent birds boasts the longest bill in the world?
The winner is the Australian pelican. This guy wields an incredible bill that can reach up to 25 inches long. That's about 50 centimeters. It is officially the longest bill of literally any bird species on the entire planet. No competition. Moving on to FAQ number 2, and we get this one a lot. Do pelicans have teeth to chew all those fish they're scooping up? They absolutely don't. Nope, no teeth at all. Instead, they rely on this really powerful two-part stomach system. The first chamber secretes a super strong acid, and the second chamber is a heavy-duty muscular gizzard. Working together, this system is tough enough to completely dissolve and break down whole fish bones and really tough scales. No chewing required whatsoever.
FAQ 3. Okay, considering their massive size, I mean, we're talking wingspans over 10 feet and weighing up to 30 pounds. How on earth do they stay so perfectly buoyant in the water?
Well, evolution equipped them beautifully for this. They have these extensive air sacs right beneath their skin that act almost like a built-in biological bubble wrap. Combine that with the air naturally trapped in their waterproof feathers and body tissues, and they just float effortlessly. Plus, as an added bonus, those air sacs act as crucial shock absorbers when they're doing those crazy high-speed plunge dives.
And that brings us to our fourth and final FAQ. Exactly how fast can these giant, maybe slightly awkward-looking birds actually fly?
It turns out they're surprisingly fast and totally graceful in the air. They can comfortably cruise at an impressive 40 miles per hour. And because they've got that massive wingspan in those hollow bones, they are expert gliders. You'll often spot them gracefully riding warm thermal air currents, just soaring at altitudes of over 3,000 feet for hours at a time, barely even needing to flap their wings.
Which leaves us with one final, really important thought for today. These birds are the ultimate prehistoric survivors. If the pelican is successfully adapted to literally everything nature has thrown at it over the last 40 million years, well, what role are we going to play in making sure it survives our modern, industrialized world? Think about that for a second. Let us know your thoughts by dropping a comment below, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to Animal Notebook for more incredible deep dives into the natural world. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.